My name is Emily. I live alone in a small farmhouse outside a tiny town in rural Kentucky. My mother died 3 years ago. At least, that's what I always believed. She was found in her bedroom after what everyone said was a heart attack. I identified her body myself. I cried at her funeral. I stood beside her grave. I watched them lower the coffin into the ground. For 3 years, I never questioned any of it, until the night I heard her voice. It was a cold October night. Wind pushed against the old wooden walls of the house. I couldn't sleep, so I was sitting in the living room watching television. The clock showed 1:47 a.m. Then I heard it. Emily. I froze. The voice was soft. A woman's voice, my mother's voice. I immediately turned off the TV. Silence. Then again. Emily. It came from above me. The attic. Every hair on my body stood up. My mother had a very specific way of saying my name. The slight drawl. The gentle tone. This was exactly her voice. I told myself I was imagining things. Then I heard footsteps. Slow. Dragging. Moving across the attic floor. I grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight. The attic entrance was in the hallway ceiling. A small pull-down ladder. I stood underneath it. The voice came again. Closer. Emily, please. Tears filled my eyes. I hadn't heard that voice in years. My hands shook as I pulled the attic ladder down. The old wood groaned. A smell drifted down. Dust, mold, and something else. Something rotten. I climbed slowly. Each step felt wrong. The attic was dark except for my flashlight. Boxes lined the walls. Old furniture sat covered in sheets. Nothing moved. Nothing. I almost laughed at myself. Then my flashlight landed on something near the far wall. A chair. Someone had placed a chair there, facing me, and sitting on it was an old cassette recorder. The tape inside was turning, playing. My mother's voice came from the speaker. Emily. I nearly screamed. I rushed forward and shut it off. The voice stopped. I stared at the recorder. Who put it here? I lived alone. Nobody had access to the house. Then I noticed another object beside the recorder. A cardboard box. My name was written on it, in my mother's handwriting. My stomach dropped. I opened it. Inside were photographs. Hundreds of them. Photos of me. Recent photos. Me buying groceries, me pumping gas, me sleeping through my bedroom window. Some were only days old. Others had been taken over the last 3 years. I felt sick. Someone had been watching me for years. Then I found a notebook. I opened it. Every page contained notes. Detailed notes. Everything I did. Where I went. Who I talked to. What I ate. The handwriting belonged to my mother. I knew it immediately. I wanted to run. But then I saw the final page. Written in large letters. She knows I'm still alive. My legs almost gave out. My mind couldn't process it. Still alive? What did that mean? The attic suddenly felt smaller. The darkness around me felt heavier. Then my phone screen lit up. 2:13 a.m. At that exact moment, something crashed behind me. I spun around. The flashlight beam shook violently. At first I saw nothing. Then I saw the wall, or what I thought was a wall. It wasn't a wall. It was a hidden door. The impact had knocked it partly open. I stood frozen. The smell coming from inside was unbearable. Rot. Human waste. Decay. I don't know why I walked toward it. Maybe part of me already knew. I pulled the door open. Inside was a small hidden room, a mattress, a bucket, stacks of canned food, bottles of water, and dozens of photographs. Thousands, maybe. Every one of me. The room looked lived in, recently lived in. Then I saw the blood. Fresh blood. A trail leading toward the back corner. My flashlight followed it and stopped. There was another notebook. Its final page was open. The ink was still wet. It read, Emily found the room, leaving now. My heart nearly stopped. Someone had been here moments ago, watching me, listening, maybe standing in the darkness while I climbed into the attic, maybe standing only feet away. Then I noticed one final thing, a photograph, brand new, printed only hours earlier. It showed me standing beside my mother's grave that afternoon. On the back were 6 words, I never went into that coffin. Police searched for months. They found fingerprints, DNA, hair. Everything belonged to my mother. The woman buried in the grave wasn't her. Nobody knows whose body was in that coffin. Nobody knows where my mother went after I found the room. The investigation eventually stalled. No arrests, no answers, nothing. That was 7 years ago. I still live under a different name. I move every few months. I keep curtains closed. I never stay in one place for long. Because every year on October 14th, a photograph appears in my mailbox. A recent photograph, always taken without my knowledge, always showing me sleeping, and every single one has the same message written on the back. I miss you, Emily. Love, Mom.